Rain night and race night here in the North American Sim Racing Series as we are just wrapping up happy hour practice. It is Jackson Lambros with you here on this election night in North America as we are watching Grayson Head navigate around Circuit Ricardo Tomo in Valencia, Spain for the final couple of corners here in free practice. I want to thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. My name is Jackson Lambros. If it looks like I just crawled into this suit because of technical issues, you're seeing things. Very exciting race tonight. A lot of new faces in this 19-car grid tonight. Hopefully a couple stronger. We'll see where things end up. But a lot of returning faces, a lot of guys out in some major championship implications. We'll get back to you, though, shortly here as we get for qualifying here in the North American Sim Racing Series. Going to be full time for both divisions here for round 5 qualifying. And if you haven't noticed yet, it is damp out here. Our one scheduled rain night of season 22. How it usually goes: start with Goldilocks conditions, have a day race, handful of night races, one rain race, excuse me. And then a random condition race for Laguna Seca, our finale. We're watching Brian Slater right now get set for his lap. And right now, it is just all about clean racetrack isn't necessarily what you're looking for here, but just, matter of fact, you're actually almost wanting a conga line in this case as we look at Mikhail Charles and the freight train he has behind him. Kind of the ability to use your wet weather tires and get a patch of dry pavement behind you is really the advantage, and that's what we're seeing right now. This is a freight train right now with Mikhail Charles behind him, Jonathan Palmieri, Selena Boostra, Carter Hayne. Name for Palmieri. So a returning face to the North American Sim Racing Series in the form of Jacob Palmieri. who will be teaming up with Michael Charles, I believe, for the upcoming 4 hours of the Glen race. Behind him, another returning face. First time we are seeing them in Season 22, Selena Boustra.
All right, first time's on the board. Michael Charles with an early lead as we watch Palmieri actually not get over track limits. You can run all the way to the end of the green sort of AstroTurf on the runoffs there. So Michael Charles, provisionally your leader in the Pro Division. Grayson Head in the M Division. Great showing for this man right here, David Roth making his debut. First ever NASRS race. We'll talk about this later, but we've got some multi-time champions returning in the form of, Jacob Kraus, Michael Landry, who we just saw get to pull the 4-time NASRS champ. So a really nice mix of individuals on this as we're watching David Roth. That's got to be outside of track limits. But you've got rookies, you've got returning champs, and you've got individuals going for the championship here. Landry set provisional pole. Charles fought back instantly. Landry has the quickest sector 1. 2 and 3, though, belong to Charles for the time being. Watching Eric LaFlamme in the M Division. Let's go for a ride with him in this Joe Below McLaren. Turn 1, he's chasing down John Crane. Again, you can use all of the runoff there. You got to be careful in wet conditions, obviously. Runs it a little bit late on the brakes through 2. Three, then Nico Tirol, quick flick to the right. Then 5, got to get on the power as early as possible here. Through Angel Nieto into the backstretch here. He's definitely on a cool down lap here, but we'll stay with him for this. De La Ficción, turn 7, then a really tricky braking area into 8. Just not a lot of references through Renato Martinez. 9 and 10, very Suzuka-esque. Right, left before you're back on the brakes big time here through 11. Another semi-long straight. Then Champi Herreros. Want to run as much of that curbing on the left as possible. LaFlamme isn't going to try it. Long left-hander through 13. Another tricky braking zone. Watch the outside curbing through Adrian Campos. The final and 14th corner. For a lap in Cheste, the Valencian community. So a bit of a spread here. Carter Hayne just absolutely rocketed himself to the front of the AM field. But we are in an arms battle right now between Michael Charles and Michael Landry. 2 seconds back right now, Landry. And digging. Charles digging as well, though. We'll watch him come to the line here. He's going to put a half second on his previous best. He stops there to go to the pits, which is an interesting one. As we're watching Michael Landry get to work. You can see just how much of that inside curbing Landry is running there. Charles with a 1:35.8 as the time to beat. Landry to the line, it's a 36.4. So over half a second between Mikhail and Matt. Or excuse me, Mikhail and Michael. We got a lot of M names in here. As I would imagine that these two are just kind of waiting, not necessarily for the track to cool down per se, but maybe dry out, as the 19 or so cars on track right now are working to channel as much water off of that ideal racing line. Again, it could be far, far more damp here. We're not at the point where we're discussing whether or not wets or dries is a coin flip here, but definitely a lighter raining condition here in Valencia. To the line, Selena Boustra improves up into 4th in that Porsche 911. Carter Hayne leapfrogs her, though, for 4th overall. In AM, Hayne 4th, Gavin, God, I did it again. I'm sorry, Grayson. Grayson head in 6th. Watching Jacob Palmieri get to work here. Big wiggle there. That was the teal McLaren of Jorge Blasini Rivera. Currently 8th overall. You can see just how much Jacob was showing me the track limits and just kind of how much you can test it in some of these cars. And when you have the confidence in your car like Jacob, you're comfortable in maybe dropping a tire or two over that and knowing that you're going to be able to kind of maintain control of it. Eight minutes left in round 5 qualifying. Mikhail Charles, your provisional pole sitter. Carter Hayne provisionally in the AM division. We're watching Jacob Palmieri try and work his way into the front row here in his return race here in season 22. Hasn't contested so far this season, but we know he's fast. So I'm not sure if it was joking or not, but there were a couple individuals who were said to put Mikhail Charles in their place and kind of remember what top talent is one of those guys just absolutely chucked it out of turn 12 there. This is Michael Landry, St. Arthur, New Brunswick native, and the 5-time NASRS League champ, 4 in a row. Real life karting driver, running some Fanatec direct drive DD1, DD1 base, V3 pedals, 2.5 Formula rim, and is for sure giving JBR a run for his money in top McLaren this season. Well, I was talking some big moves here in the AM division. Eric Laflamme up into 5th, Brian Slater up into 6th. All three of these guys ahead of Davin Sturdivant, Zach Beauclair, Selena Boustra. A pair of Porsches there in 8th and 9th. Speaking of new faces, this is Joel Klaus, a regular that we see in the GT4 racing. We might have seen actually in Silverstone, if my memory serves me correctly, but we just have not seen all that much. Halifax, Nova Scotia native. Long-time car fanatic. Sim racing since 2021. Was experimenting at the start of this week, was thinking about actually making the jump over to Lambo alongside Peter Liu. But he's been a long time Porsche main as he gets a big slide through turn number 1 there. Michael Landry in his mirrors. But said he tried the Evo 2. Really kind of likes the balance of it, very similar to the Porsche. Kind of said the Achilles heel, though, was the slow top speed, which isn't too much of an issue here. Not directly apples to apples. Again, it's for sure not a Monza when it comes to high-end speed, but you've got that long front straightaway, and this quick left-handed kink here that you're going to need legs for. Just under 4 minutes to go here for qualifying. Mikhail Charles, your leader overall. Carter Hayne in the AM division, who is currently digging on his current best, going back and forth on the Delta. Further back, Nitin Murthy, Jorge Blasini Rivera, and Joel Kraus trying to fight their way into the top 10 here. You might have just seen on the mini-map, it looks like Kraus went around there. And we're already seeing him get back to it on the pits here. Carter Hayne to the line. Still about 4/10 back from Palmieri, but it will improve. 137.5 what we're looking for. Palmieri still with a shot to at least promote himself to the front row. Landry's going to have to absolutely send it here with 2 to go. Everybody negative on Delta for the time being, waiting for maybe some last lap magic. And the train's going to start right here with Damian Moroney. Our other rookie. No, it won't. He'll park it on the main straight. Because of course he will. Jacob Palmieri was going to lead the final train here around. Palmieri, Boonstra,
and Joaquin Munoz just behind all of them there. See these two Porsches chasing him down. Palmieri with a chance to leapfrog Landry here, already 0.2 up from his personal best. Laid on the brakes there into 11. We're going to use all of that outside curbing, almost most of the grass there. Curbs on the right, curbs on the left. Through 12, a lot of faith in the car, in that Lexus traction control. On the brakes for the final time, that's Peter Liu. Losing it in front of him. Late apex, get on the gas as early as possible. It's going to be close. We're looking for a 136.4, 136.372 for Palmieri. Front row start. So it'll be a front row start and further chance to improve. I'm not sure if it's that half-second stuff that we're going to need to catch Charles here. Zach Leclerc looking like the last individual with a shot at improving here. Even with his last Delta. Joaquin Munoz also looking to improve from 15th. To the line, this could get him up to 7th or 6th. Slow exit there. That kills his lap time, and that'll keep him in 9th. So it is going to be Michael Charles and Jordan Palmieri on the front row in pro. Carter Hayne, Eric Laflamme for AM Division. Command and a couple more announcements in just a few moments. Stay with us. The biggest event in North American Sim Racing Series history, the 4 hours at Watkins Glen. In just a couple weeks, November 23rd, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. If you want to drive and you got a friend or two or three, more than welcome to join. Teams are still open at this time. You can contact anyone in the Discord, as we've got plenty of people also looking for teammates right now. So phone a friend. On top of that, plenty of off-season events on the way, including Watkins Glen, Paul Ricard, Zandvoort, Donington, and others. More info on that next week. Watching Mikhail Charles warm his brakes right now in his Honda NSX. Here's your starting grid briefly. Mikhail Charles alongside Michael Landry, then Carter Hayne, Eric LaFlamme, Ryan Slater, Nitin Murthy gets it up into 6th in the AM division. Davin Sturtevant, Zach McClare, Selena Boonstra, Grayson Head is in 10th. Joel Kraus in 11th. Jorge Blasini Rivera, 12th. David Ross in 13th. Joaquin Munoz, 14th. Peter Liuz is 15th. Damian Maroney, rookie, is 16th. Don Debian, 17th. John Crayon, 18th. And rounding out the field is Jacob Palmieri, who will be starting from the pit lane. Major championship implications coming with this round. Palmieri, who was almost kind of supposed to play, I don't want to say play teammate to Mikhail Charles, but definitely has been coordinating with the game plan here. Not entirely sure why he got sent to the pit lane or whether we'll see him. Still currently waiting. Does this mean... Oh my goodness. This might mean Mikhail Charles is going to get that front row all to himself. And if that is the case, that has got to be major controversy if that is the case. It might very well be. We'll have to talk to Palmieri. But it'll be Charles, Landry, and Hayne behind. It's election night in America. We're trying to find a presidential candidate. Let's find ourselves some championship candidates. Let's go racing at Valencia. Good start for Charles, who hugs the middle of the field. Already a look to the inside by Landry into turn number 1. Further back, Hayne moves on the outside there around Eric LaFlamme. Nitin Murthy shot out of a cannon. He's trying to make a move around Eric LaFlamme behind him. But Hayne will take off with the lead so far in the AM division. Big slide there. Further back, Zach Beauclair already 2 positions up. Selena Boostra on defense big time. That's Grayson Head trying to make a move behind them. Selena Boostra and Davin Sturtevant. Big checkup behind from David Roth. Again, tricky braking zone through here, but it is an absolute freight train for the time being. Couple of rookies here. David Roth, Damian Maroney, Joaquin Munoz, Peter Liu, all behind Selena Boonstra in this comic racing 911. Another controller user kind of filling in for Arjun tonight. Peter Liu, though, gets a done deal move right now on Jorge Blasini Rivera, who's dropped back big time on the start so far. He's already going to defend here in that Blue Dragon Racing Lambo. So already some elbows out racing. Blasini Rivera is going to go to the pits. I'm not sure if there was maybe a misselection of tire compound, as here comes Grayson Head on the inside of Zach Beauclair. And it looks like Kraus might try and pounce as well. Turn 2, Porsche v Porsche. Beauclair forced to the outside here. They'll keep it going here. Still side by side. Script flips. Some amazing racing here. Flat 6 battle, and that'll finally be the position for Kraus, but now Davin Sturdivant's going to try and pounce on him. Through Angel Nieto. 2x2 through turn number 7 into 8. Now they'll single file out, but some amazing moves right now. Sturdivant, even with that move, has dropped back 2. Kraus and Head both up 3 positions. Maroney, in his first ever start, is up 3 positions, back in 13th. Freight train further back, and the rookies are already getting on it right now. Roth and Maroney. Maroney washes out big time there on that final 14th corner. That might give Munoz a chance to strike here. Leclerc looks to the inside on Boonstra, won't have a move. There's some writing there on the back of Boonstra's car. I'm not entirely sure what it is, though. My dreams, that's cool. Further up, Brian Slater versus Nitin Murthy here. As Slater's going to make a move to the inside here. We saw it last lap, another move trying to be made in turn 8. Can't quite get it done, though, for the Canadian. Already some big fanning out here up in the front. Charles with a 1.5 seconds on Landry, then Hayne another 1.5 seconds back. You got to remember, he's got a whole freight train right now of AM-class drivers he's fending off. But it is a 3-way battle right now. Call it a Honda on Mercedes sandwich right now, as it's Grayson Head running all the way to the outside through 14 right now, trying to make a move on Brian Slater. Early lift, looks to the inside there. Big stomp on the brakes, both of them sliding there. We might see some guys really testing these track limits, not just in legality, but what that can do to your machine. Head in that Nix OS Mercedes, Slater up ahead of them in that kind of gray camo S-Cargo NSX. Slater still with a shot in the AM Championship, had a really rough start to things in Barcelona, but had some solid results in Catalunya. Took a break at Suzuka. Again, you're allowed 1 week off. So we've got 1 car off, I believe. Yeah, trouble further back. Peter Liu, and I believe that David Maroney right in front of him. Yeah, he is. Rain biting hard already here for these 2 rookies. Oh, big slide there! What a save from Grayson Head! Snapped out of him in turn number 1, manages to keep that Mercedes together. And the Unicorn will live to see another lap, as he is bucking on that thing. Scrap battle further back. John Crane versus Joaquin Munoz for the top 15. Again, the Honda has not been a popular pick in the real life world, in the ACC world. LFM has been very, very kind to it, which has kind of made it go toe-to-toe with these Porsches once again. Munoz and Crane fighting like this is a top 3 battle right now. Gotta love it. Slater goes very, very wide out of 14. That kind of painted section is going to struggle to get traction down. Grayson going a bit wide again here. As we take a look a little bit further back, and it is still very much a freight train that Kraus is leading here. We're looking at Davin Sturdivant in that Apex advisory machine. Among this flat 6 Symphony, look at Beclaire wrestling that rear engine Porsche, trying to keep up with Selena Boustra. Kraus goes very, very shallow there, struggled to get traction down. That'll let Sturdivant pounce on the inside here, side by side. Done deal. Can Boustra pounce on this as well? And David Roth on debut is absolutely hanging with the best of them in his first ever NASRS race. Sturdivant gonna force him wide through turn number 8. We'll go side by side through 9 with Selena Boonstra. And it's a triplet of Porsches ahead of these guys right now. Look at this popcorn right now for David Roth, watching these guys go at it. Big wiggle there out of 14 from David Roth. Again, biggest straight of the track. You want to get on the power as quick as possible. Oh, big wiggle there on the brakes for Roth. No harm, no foul as Boonstra goes wide as well. Could be pressure there from Palmieri in the wings there, as he's going to try and weave through these guys. Oh, trouble! Brian Slater's around! We've been talking about guys kind of walking the tightrope here. And any urgency can lead in plenty of issues. Palmieri looking for a way around David Roth here. He's going to try the switchback, can't make it happen through Wame Masia. Roth backs out though, and we'll give it through him. That's a big bit of understeer though, and this might let Roth fight back. How bold are you going to be on the brakes? Very bold. He's going to try the outside, and that'll be an excursion all the way off the track for David Roth. So the fan out continues. Slater drops back, but Davin Sturdivant, with a plethora of cars in his mirrors, has not cracked under pressure in the first 10 minutes. Couple of penalties issued by race control. 10-second time penalty for Joaquin Munoz and a drive-through for David Maroney. I'm going to have to look back and see what the actual reasoning behind that was. But a disappointing start for the rookie as Nitin Murthy goes around in that Arsenal FC Mercedes. We just saw him there. Gap has stayed, only grown just a smidge, 1.8 between Charles and Landry. And it is unfortunately going to be a debut to forget for Damian Maroney. But again, to say that a race like this is being thrown in on the deep end is honestly an understatement. Porsche battle continues behind Brian Slater, Selena Boustra, as Palmieri continues on the move here. It's gotten past Nitin Murthy, Don Debian, David Roth. Started on the pit lane and has not looked back. Is there anything Boonstra can do? Top 10 on return would certainly be impressive. All right. Battles look like they are finally dying down, so let's take this time briefly to look at our OEM battle. Organized by Brian Slater, who of course is racing right now, but top result from each individual manufacturer for each race. So obviously the Fords and the Hondas have been our favorites right now. Greg Kachadurian, Mikhail Charles. Zach Leclerc has absolutely been carrying the torch there. Same for Joaquin Munoz for Porsche. And the V10 representation and the BMW representation has certainly been minimal so far this season. With a couple of additions, obviously, in Peter Liu. We were going to see if Kraus was maybe going to make that move, but he stuck with Porsche. So definitely not Ford versus Ferrari, but certainly Ford v Honda here with 2 races to go. We'll take a look at the Pro and Am standings as the night goes on as well, but it's important to know that those numbers won't necessarily be entirely truthful. We'll get to that when we get there. "15 minutes into round 3 here at Valencia. Very good evening to all 12 of you deciding to tune in here on this Tuesday night. Especially a fun hello if you're going to be racing with me Thursday in the rookies, doing some film with me. Penalty served for Maroney. Nobody put a lap quite yet. Volsini Rivera might be the first on the menu there. The good news for him is, 1, pit stop's already out of the way. The mandatory pit stop. And 2, these tires, you don't chew through them nearly as much as the traditional slicks just because of how fast you're going. Granted, at the current race pace and with the conditions of the track, maybe you'll be struggling towards the tail end, but it's not nearly as bad as, say, if you're single stint in a pair of slicks. We're watching Jacob Palmieri right now in a last to 10th drive right now in this Lexus RCF. Driven by your mom. first Lexus we've actually seen in a while. For all the rookies, you know that's a favorite. Big slide there for Palmieri, trying to hunt down Zach Leclerc. Let's look back over here to Grayson Head right now at the bottom of this AM podium, because it is a... not quite a freight train behind him, but they're certainly stacking up behind him. Kraus getting to the very back of Davin Sturdivant here. Let's listen to this Flat 6 symphony as he tries to hunt down Davin Sturdivant. Very wide there for Sturdivant through two. Hip toes on the gas. You got to be so careful with this rear engine. Yes, the power is right on the engine is right on that rear wheel, so you don't have an issue getting power down, but it wants to rotate so much, especially in these kind of conditions, which is why we've seen Boonstra, Leclerc, you name it. A lot of the Porsches kind of struggling in these positions. Any of the mid-engine cars, like we're seeing with Sturdivant, kind of doing a four-wheel slide there. Through 7, breaks about halfway into the curbing, tries the outside. Is he going to try the switchback? Not enough momentum. Another tricky braking zone, tries to go late. Around goes Sturdivant! Kraus is going to stand on the brakes. Oh, absolute chaos here in turn 9. And Sturdivant, who was looking to be in cruise control at this point in the race, falls total victim to Joel Kraus. Another big slide here out of 12 onto 13. That'll give Roth maybe a chance to overtake him. Maroney senses gone to the pits and decided to call it a day. This whole thing promotes Palmieri to 7th, by the way. I'm going to try and get the replay for you guys, if you give me just a second here, as it's trying to load. Watching from Palmieri, who just totally pounces on that and decides to get all 3 in one corner there. So we're going to have to look back, and I'll be sure to talk with Jacob, with you guys afterwards here, and see what happened with Palmieri. I'm not sure if there was a technical issue or if that was a genuine strategic choice between both of these guys. As we see the number 40 car there, that's Maroney, who's decided to call it quits there after the drive-through. We can see, even with the confidence of Palmieri, he is still absolutely hanging on to that Lexus RCF. Palmieri consistently sliding that thing through turn number 1. In the time since we last checked in, he has gotten past Brian Slater for 6th. Kraus still on the move, has gotten pretty quickly back into this Porsche battle. We'll wait to see if Ilpo and Race Control has decided to do any punishment for that. It could be down to a racing incident, frankly, but certainly not the most ideal place, especially in wet conditions, to make a move like that. step away from this really quickly. Lap traffic already at play here for Mikhail Charles. Blue flag for Jorge Blasini Rivera. That is Michael Landry just a little bit further back. And there goes the hammer. 5-second time penalty for Kraus as he's trying to get a position here on Zach Leclerc. Booster's kind of backed off from this battle and kind of let the boys go at it. Kraus tries a late apex here, but some great defense from Leclerc to kind of try the middle there. Make that comic book Porsche as wide as possible. Make that a 10-second penalty for Kraus. Inside into 2, is he gonna do it? Through 3, he can do it clean. Kraus leads the Porsche trio into 5. Makes up for the 10-second penalty to the stewards with some good clean racing on Zach Leclerc. Big slide there, though. Traction control kept him from going around. This might let Leclerc get that position back. Into turn 8. He thinks smarter of it. By the way, Jesse, I know you're in chat, and this is going to be the dumbest question ever. But we do have 2 Quants, and we got 2 Leclercs. I need to know the relation if there is one. Because family's doing sim racing is awesome, and I can't get my family to do it for some reason. Porsche battle continues here. Kraus with a very, very big advantage. They're using that open air to kind of peel ahead. Now it's kind of Leclerc versus Boustra. The 13 versus the 33. You can see Selena trying to do that kind of esports entry there. Trying to make that racing line as straight as possible, dipping 2 wheels over the line on entry. I'd say she's kind of looking loose in that Porsche, but especially in the wet and an Xbox controller, it kind of just feels like a given. Jacob Palmieri continues to be on the move here. Now he's finally gotten to the rear bumper of Grayson Head. I figured it was father-son. That's so cool. That's so cool. Families in sim racing is awesome. Palmieri pounces, gets a good chunk of Grayson Head. Is he going to have to take a trip to the pits for that? It'll be rear diffuser damage, if anything, for Grayson, but it's for sure going to be damage to the front of that RCF for Jacob Palmieri. Ryan Slater gets to kind of seize this moment and maybe get the gap. So it's a set of 3s right now. It's Head, Slater, and Palmieri. And then it's Kraus, Leclerc, and Boonstra, and those Porsches all further behind. Palmieri still going super wide there through turn number 1. I swear, the minute I want to cut away, there is an amazing battle that seems to get going here. You can see a little bit of scuffs on that front right of that RCF. He's going to try it again here through 7. Right on the bumper. Carries that momentum to the outside. He might have the legs here to do it. Very big check up there. I think traction control kicked in for Head there. Palmieri makes the top 5 a done deal by turn 8. But is there going to be any response from race control for that incident?
Back to the Porsches. Baclair continues to try and dig to get that position back from Jay Kraus. Goes very, very deep there through 13. We want to talk about difficult corners for this car. Turn 14 absolutely putting all that weight on the nose, and all that rear end wants to do is go around. We're watching Brian Slater try and get around Grayson Head here. Big flip to the inside. This could be a collection. Oh, man! Somehow, someway, Grayson Head avoids a monster slide from Brian Slater, who goes bowling through turn number 1. That could have been chaos. And the slides continue for Slater. Cooked rear tires, that will do it to you. Gavin Sturdivant on the move as well. Was gonna mention we watched Zach Baclair take his trip to the pit lane. We're kind of at that halfway point now where we might start seeing folks come to the pits again. Window is essentially open the whole race, so guys like Blasini Rivera don't need to stretch it. I say that as Blasini Rivera has disconnected. But guys who have pitted early don't have a need to stretch it. David Roth was technically our first with the guys connected now. But you can go as deep or as long as you want. Don't think too much about my wording there. Just know that if you still need to take a trip to the pit lanes, you can just do it whenever. Gavin back into the top 10, hunting down Nitin Murthy in that Arsenal FC colored Mercedes AMG. He'll cut it short though and go to the pits alongside Brian Slater, who certainly wants to get off that rubber. So as we watch Brian Slater and Nitin Murthy, two AMs go into the pits. Let's take a look really quickly at your AM standings. Pretty comfortable lead right now for Arjun, but that could all change very quickly. Again, we were talking about the rules earlier, and that could 100% go back their way when you consider that we are going to have a drop round. So for guys like Grayson Head, Carter Hayden, who's currently your leader, could absolutely go a long way for those individuals. So again, we're going to have a drop round, and if you're a NASRS regular, you know the rules of this when it comes to standing, just because none of us are getting paid to do this. We have real life stuff. So one will ultimately drop out as we see Palmieri, Sturdivant, Big Kahuna coming into the pits here. But ironically enough, our championship leader, Arjun, has our updated standings here. I gotta find that for the time being. We'll look over at Mikhail Charles. I don't have the visuals for you guys, unfortunately. How long is Charles going to stretch this out? He's got 4 seconds over Landry. He'll stretch it to at least one more. Two of the Porsches go long here. And that is Palmieri exiting the pits right now.
And we'll get in front of, oh man, this could be some rear gunner action from Palmieri. We'll see. AM leader Carter Hayne comes into the pits, as well as Eric Laflamme, both of those guys. Relatively quiet Tuesday night so far for both of them. But looking further back from the makers of Porsche train, it's Mercedes train. Grayson Head, Nitin Murthy, Brian Slater on the move here, trying to get around Nitin Murthy. Tries the outside and the inside through 7, can't make it happen. Up ahead, Selena Boonstra comes into the pits. Carter Hayne exiting. Joaquin Munoz and Kraus all coming in, but this battle is now going to end as Slater loses it again. Backs it all the way into the wall there. But we'll continue. So considering a dropped round, it would be Arjun with 270 points, Grayson with 259, Carter with 242, Edriel Lugo Ortiz, who's actually decided to back out for the rest of the season due to personal reasons, Nitin Murthy with 235, Joaquin Munoz 227. And by and large, those are pretty much your full-time guys. Landry to the pits from second, Charles stays out. So what is this going to mean strategy-wise, and where is Landry going to emerge? That's Palmieri behind him in 7th. I'm gonna have to wait for the timing cycle to come through because I'm not entirely sure what's going on there. Porsche battle continues between Kraus and Beauclair. John Crane comes into the pits. Drive-through penalty for Palmieri. Why is that? Would have to be for the collision with Grayson Head earlier on. Especially when you consider, based on starting position, he had no right to be there in the first place. Mega speed from Beauclair there through turn number 1. Stradivant trying to close the gap to these two through 2. Big checkup from Kraus there. This might be the lap for Beauclair through 3. Two Porsches that have gone at it all night. We've seen it through 7 and 8. Beauclair's going to try the outside. He won't be able to get it done, though. 5-car freight train behind them. Beauclair tries the inside, but Kraus is able to carry all of that momentum here. Grayson Head now joins the party way back there in that Nix OS AMG. Still to pit, by the way, is Beauclair. Actually, correction, both of these guys have pitted, excuse me. But now Nitin Murthy gets closer and closer, further behind them, but it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 car freight train here. Mercedes absolutely have the straight line, by the way, all almost 5 kilometers an hour faster through the speed trap. Kraus, Beclair, Sturdivant, Boonstra, and Head. Big lunge there from Beclair through 8. He's got the confidence on the brakes, but Kraus, I was going to say had the confidence on the pedal, but he lost it right there, and that'll finally give the position back to Beclair. So Kraus down to 7th. Is there anything that Sturdivant or Boonstra can do to get by him? Further back, Hayne on the comeback drive right now. Eric Laflamme at some point has taken that lead in the M division away from Carter Hayne. He's trying to get that move back. Hayne has led the class position-wise. Peter Liu's going very deep in this strategy right now in that Lambo. We'll get back to that as it updates. Kraus wide through the second sector. Sturdivant going to look to the outside. Boonstra is actually going to try to get on Sturdivant. This could be a double move. Another touch of the fenders between these two. Davin wants payback. Now Boonstra and Sturdivant side by side through 7 and 8. Boonstra to the inside. Still door to door. Boonstra finally gets him, and now Grayson Head might get a move. Back and forth we go here at Valencia. And so far, despite one small error, an absolute clinical return so far for this comic racing driver, Selena Boonstra. Up front, Laflamme and Hayne continue to go at it. But it is Mikhail Charles and Michael Landry still battling for the lead right now. That's 2 seconds and narrowing. Grayson Head very much at the back of this pack now. So we'll see what he can do. Drive-through penalty has been served, by the way, for Jordan Palmieri. We'll have to see what he can do. Quick look back over to the AM battle. Tennessee kid versus the country Canadian right now for the top of the AM division. Eric Laflamme has been waiting in the wings for his time to shine all season long, and it might finally come right here. Lap traffic for Michael Landry. He's trying to close that gap. David Roth is between them. stays there at 2.5 seconds. Haynes still looking for his first AM category win in a division that was dominated by Lugo Ortiz, Nitin Murthy, a lot of AMGs. But it's looking like it's either going to be a Honda or a McLaren at the front today. Peter Liu obviously at the top of the pylon in that division, but he still needs to pit. Palmieri further back, trying to get back past Nitin Murthy. Ryan Slater not too far behind any of them. Liu finally comes into the pit lane, so we have a battle for the lead here with 21 minutes on the clock. We'll see how the long run goes for Liu, though, because with good execution on the pits, this could absolutely go his way. Oh, trouble! Zach Leclerc's around! Right in the biggest part, he's going to take it straight to the pits. What happened here? Replay coming. We're going to see if this was contact or if it was lost on his own. We were talking about it earlier, how much of a struggle that can be on the brakes, and did he get punted? He did! Kraus got into him! And that might be game over for Kraus. That's got to be suspension damage. So night over for Beclaire, and very much a possibility that there's damage to Kraus. Already dropped a couple positions as a result. Head has a drive-through, and I'm not entirely sure why either. You can see the damage on the front of that 18. In the back half of this race, we've for sure had the carnage come out. It's wet weather racing, baby. You can see a little bit of damage on the diffuser, the back of Head's machine there. These continued on. I'm not entirely sure why there was that drive-through, if there was something that I missed. This is where I wish I had like the dad cam, so like for F1, or like Indy qualifying, whenever it pit like goes over to Alex Rossi's dad. Palmieri looking to get around this wounded Porsche of Kraus. Will try and get it done through 7. Oh, hey, Zach. Zach, do you want to come in the green room? And I know you want to probably punch a wall right now. If you want to go in the green room and kind of ride out this next 18 minutes with me, I would be absolutely honored to. I will be in the green room if you want to sit in here with me. Are you sure you weren't on the ignition? Being joined now for the first time ever for a man that definitely does not want to be here, but a man who is here regardless. It's my first ever analyst, Zach Beclaire. Zach, I know obviously not the result you wanted, but you were showing pace. Walk me through what the crap just happened.
Yeah, I guess new knowledge for me. I did not know that you could blow up your engine downshifting. I mean, I know you can in a real car. Didn't realize that it would happen there. First time I had done that before, and I don't know if you can see in the replay of that, but I was fully on the throttle and my car was just slowing down, and that caused the collision. The person behind me, but yeah, that was too bad. I was looking at a potential 5th place if I didn't do anything like that, so that was unfortunate.
Been a chaotic race even before then. Talk to me about what it was like battling with Selena and Kraus there.
At the beginning, it was definitely tricky. It was the first time I really had to deal with like battling with quite a few cars around me. I'm used to, either I'm attacking someone or they're attacking me, but having to deal with a bunch of cars in the beginning, I was probably a couple seconds off of the pace I know I could have, and I was just making mistakes left and right, but hitting a little bit early did get me in between them, and I was able to capitalize on Kraus's mistake at one point, which I was super happy about, but unfortunately I am now done, so.
For those of you watching, we just watched Carter Haynes sail past Eric Laflamme going into turn number 1. How difficult, Zach, is the Porsche in these kind of conditions? Because I know you kind of have that ability, obviously, to kind of put the power down in those kind of cars, but I was talking about how turn 14 can be so hard and how kind of the car wants to swap ends there.
Yeah, honestly, like, it doesn't feel as bad as I was expecting, and I think just the added weight in the rear really helps with that. There were definitely a few times where the brakes would lock up, especially on, I don't remember what turn it is, but it's the pretty complicated section in sector end of sector 2, and that can definitely be tricky. I had to avoid colliding with a few people there, but I was learning how to manage it. But it's a fun car to drive, definitely a little bit unwieldy at times.
Penalty served for Grayson Head. Peter Liu was the last to pit. He emerges back out in, looks like 13th as Mikhail Charles is hunting them both down at this point. 15 minutes and change left. As we missed another pass there, it looks like Kraus might have lost it on his own there again. Heavy damage to the front of that 18 Porsche machine. Slater gets himself back into the top 10. I'll ask you this now because I'm not entirely sure what the reasoning was behind it. Do you know why Palmieri started from the pits?
Yeah, I do. So what happened was when he was getting ready with his setup, pre-race when we were just lined up in the grid, he accidentally overwrote his wet setup with the default wet setup, and then had to go to the pits to figure it out. So he just kind of, I think, had to come up with some random wet setup that he's using now, which he wasn't too happy about. But he was making a run through the whole grid there. Definitely a little reminiscent of what happened in F1 this last weekend.
Oh, for sure.
17th all the way up.
and he's doing those numbers right now, running 6th. Stop served, penalty served already for him. Blue flag for Grayson. Blue flag for Grayson. He gave that position to Charles. About 4 seconds now between Landry and Mikhail. And I think with the time we've got right now, we'll do a quick look at our pro standings. Again, this is not entirely all-encompassing considering we have that elimination round, but Arroyan for sure looks to be the one in the driver's seat in this championship right now. Obviously isn't here tonight, but has his elimination round set. Mikhail Charles with a really rough start at Silverstone. He cannot afford another finish like that. Davin Stradivant also with a really good shot here in this recovery drive. Made contact earlier on, but is running 7th for now. And further back is Jorge Blasini Rivera, tied with you right now, Zach. But I think the fact that you're still technically here that'll get you up into 4th in the championship.
Yeah, I was going into the race. I had taken a look at the standings, and I actually jokingly messaged Jorge just saying that he was my new friendly rival, just because we were tied and stuff. And so I was really trying to finish ahead of him in this race, but we'll have to see what happens next week.
It feels like on track you get into it a lot with the, maybe not in division, but on track you're kind of tangled with a lot of the Mercedes. Granted, we just have a freaking lot of Mercedes, but obviously you had the little incident with Lugo Ortiz, but I know you guys were chill with that. Talk to me about what it's been like kind of coexisting with a lot of different guys on track.
It's definitely been a learning experience for me, because, coming from rookies, I was very familiar with pretty much, the only 4 cars available for people to drive. So getting used to a bigger assortment of cars, even though there's a lot of Hondas and quite a lot of Mercedes as well, it's been definitely a learning process trying to figure out what the strengths and weaknesses are of each and figuring out how I can, time my strengths against their weaknesses to try to see if I can, pull some time on them. But it's been fun learning. It's been a little bit tricky.
Did you, I mean, if you ask any of the guys who've been playing this game for a while, the original release, the previous generation Porsche was obviously infamous for kind of wanting to swap ends, but I feel like certainly going in on the deep end choosing a Porsche, but for sure high risk, high reward for those kinds of cars.
Yeah, it's I think at least the way that I'll set up my cars, and I'm not too technical with it, but I like to go with kind of the default safer setup because I know the tendency of the car. Sorry, I just saw what someone was sliding a little bit, but it's definitely I don't know, it's high risk, high reward for sure, and I'm just trying to get better and better at minimizing the risks and knowing when my car is going to react poorly to things.
By the way, if you see anything that I am not picking up, absolutely let me know. We're watching the other Porsche of Joaquin Munoz try to work his way into the top 10, getting around Nitin Murthy in that Arsenal FC colored AMG. Joaquin and Zach, who's joining me in the booth for the back half of this race, obviously have kind of been the lone of 2 Porsches. We had a kind of random explosion here in this tail end of the season with Selena Boonstra coming in, Jack Krause returning after Silverstone. But very, very good mix of cars this time by. Obviously, Palmieri coming in gets us a Lexus for the first time in forever. Peter Liu is getting us more Lambos. I know Palmieri was originally thinking about doing, I believe, the Nissan, so it was going to be one or the other. But always good to see that kind of variety and kind of what we wanted to see out of the LFM BOP. Although I know there's been kind of an argument that the rain kind of totally changes how that whole system works under these kinds of conditions.
Yeah, it's been interesting. I mean, like you said, we went from having, 2 Porsches to now we're up to 4. And, of course, we have kind of a fun within NASRS. We have, I think it's Brian Slater's taking note of where the different cars finish in both Pro and Am and having an overall, standing for manufacturers. So it's been pretty fun. Seeing all the different cars try to compete now that I'm out of this race. I am rooting for all the Porsches there, just to hopefully get us some nice points and see if we can move ourselves up to 2nd at some point before the end of the season.
So the good news is looking at this, because we literally do not have a Ford. There is not a horse in this race for Ford, so it'll be good progress for both of you in the Hondas. The only issue right now is your best Porsche is in 5th. Your Honda is leading in Charles, and even then it's a 1-3 right now for Honda. So it'll be a good day for both of you, but I think it's looking like that might throw a smidge for Ford, but we will see. Jeff Arroyan, who's also very free to join us in the green room, by the way. I'm trying to make it a party in here. Is watching from the sidelines for the first time. Munoz goes very, very wide. You can kind of abuse, I've mentioned before, the outside kind of, I'm not sure if it's AstroTurf or painted concrete in turn 1, but I'm not sure if that's even something you necessarily want to do, Zach, in these kinds of conditions.
Yeah, if you're not going straight, when you get on any painted surface here, and if you have any steering input and you get on throttle, that tire is just gonna slip. I in practice had many times, especially kind of where we're looking at right now on the track, where you clip a little bit of the green and you're going sideways for a little bit, and you either have to recover or likely take a few positions back if you lose it too much.
Okay, Jeff, okay, I should have actually talked to Jeff because I forgot he's out because of back issues and not because of work, so he was very much able to join me. Now I'm kicking myself, but if you are a driver and you are in chat right now, door is always open if you want to be in the booth. And in my everlasting battle against dead air. So, it's obviously hats off to Zach for joining me, and obviously I'm not forcing you to do that if you're in that kind of scenario. But door is always open if you are a former driver, if you're just taking a break. Further back there, we're watching Don Debian give the lead to Charles. It's 4.5 seconds between first and second with 5 minutes to go. Oh, yeah, sorry, Jeff. Fastest lap should not come as a surprise to you. It's Mikhail Charles with a 1:37.5. Landry with the quickest after that. 1:35, almost exactly a tenth after that. Quickest in AM also belongs to Carter Hayne, 1:37.7. We're looking at a three-way fight right now as that Murphy and Joaquin Munoz try to get closer to Jack Krause for 9th. Bit of a look to the inside. Around goes Joaquin Munoz. Not a total swap end, but he gets into the door there in Nitin Murthy, and he'll have to take an excursion through the concrete. And now this damaged Porsche is going to hold up Mikhail Charles slightly as Landry actually has that gap now over to 5 seconds. He's 100% playing outrun with these lapped cars to try and close that gap to Charles. Scrap battle for both of these guys. Peter Liu, Grayson Head trying to make the most out of what's been a really rough day for both of these gentlemen. David Roth has kept it together on debut, though, and he's competed with his fellow AMs, especially in AMG machinery. He's playing it really safe behind Peter Liu for now. He's outpaced John Crane. He's kept the fenders on it for the most part. He's looking on the inside of Peter Liu, and of course, commentators curse strikes because these two swap paint in turn 1. Gonna remind you here with 3 minutes to go that we are not going anywhere after the checkered flies. Gonna get some post-race quotes from you, and then we'll send you on your way and get ready for the finale next week at Laguna Seca. Well, I've got you here, Zach. Any thoughts on the random conditions we're gonna have next week at Suzuka? Or not Suzuka, Laguna.
Well, this is, I guess I knew next week was Laguna Seca. I wasn't sure of the conditions for it.
It's literally random. I don't know if it's been dropped yet, but...
That'll be interesting. Laguna is it's a very fun track, short, so we're gonna see probably some bunched up cars there. But if we end up with a wet race, I'm just terrified of what'll happen at the corkscrew there. I don't imagine it'll be pretty, and we might see some airtime from even myself. So
you'd hope not.
It'll be interesting.
We're watching a battle at the buzzer right now for the top 5. Jordan Palmieri, Selena Boonstra, who, by the way, kind of is tapping in. I mentioned earlier, tapping in for Arjun on the Xbox controller in the Porsche, mind you. Palmieri started in the pits, has had a monster run, has gone from last to the top 5. But Palmieri is taking off right now in that Lexus. Maybe not. Boonstra keeping him at bay for now 90 seconds left. White flag this time by at the line for Mikhail Charles as this battle for the top 5 continues. Should also mention you guys are like, I mean Porsche, you guys are one of the slower guys in the speed trap. All the Mercedes have pretty much dominated the speed trap that I've seen.
I didn't even know there was a speed trap, but not.
I don't know if it's a game thing or if it's a supplementary thing I'm getting, but yeah. Palmieri, quickest overall in that Lexus, has gotten 250 kilos an hour into 1. Big wiggle there for Palmieri. Into 8. This will give Booster a chance to the inside. Through turn 8. Palmieri holds onto it. A big bite of the curb there from Boonstra. Nine and 10. This is going to be the run to the line here between these two. 15-second penalty for Nitin Murthy. Not entirely sure why. We'll get back to you if we get any information on that. $14, I'm not sure these guys are going to get the flag. Big wiggle on the gas there for Palmieri. And Boonstra is trying to reel him in. Out of 14 for the final time for Mikhail Charles. He wins Barcelona, he'll win Snetterton, and now he wins in the wet at Valencia. Another dominant drive for the Yellow Rocket, the Terror from Trinidad, whatever you want to call him. Mikhail Charles is good at this video game. Landry finishes second, 5 seconds back, but this battle continues to go on for 5th, far from over. This is where we saw that issue from the Lexus of Palmieri last lap. He keeps it clean through turn 8 this time. And no matter how you look at this, this is a phenomenal return to form for Selena Boonstra. Goes deep, deep there into turn number 9. Is hoping from an error for Palmieri, and it might not come, but 14 is gonna be the hardest on the brakes. No dice, but a phenomenal drive from last to 5th for Palmieri, and a return drive to 6th for Selena Boonstra. Carter Hayne, your winner in the AM division. After a great battle with Eric Laflamme. Zach, thank you so much for joining me. And we are going to get some post-race quotes for you guys very briefly. Stay with us. Let's go through your pro podium very quickly here. Mikhail Charles with another very good drive. Hi, Mikhail.
Hello.
Was that boring, fun, scary? Talk to me about emotions here.
It was pretty alright. It was fun getting past like all the lap cars, just sending it on them. That was pretty fun.
Felt like the
It was
first
also
time
pretty
you
fun.
guys have actually had lapped traffic as like a major factor.
Yeah, because of how it's wet, the skill gap gets even like bigger.
Did it feel like was there any point where it felt like Landry was maybe within striking distance?
No.
Brutal.
Also, my car is way better in the wet, so yeah.
I mean, that's kind of objective, and we'll talk to Jacob maybe about that later on.
Yeah.
But overall, I mean, you're looking comfortable after Silverstone. What are the vibes going into Laguna Seca next week?
I haven't really driven Laguna like competitively. Yeah. I've obviously driven it before, but not like for like a league race. So I don't know how I'm gonna do there. I don't know if the Honda's good there or not, but I'll try my best. I should be with the top guys.
Mikhail, really good drive. We'll see you next week.
Yep.
Let's talk to your 5-time NASRS champ making their return in season 22, Michael Landry. Michael, fantastic drive in second. I mean, P2 on a return drive in the wet. You got to be happy with that.
Yeah, I'm happy. I know I couldn't catch Mikhail in the under because he's under way too strong in the wet. So after I saw Jacob going to the pit on the grid, then I know I was just running my race.
Talk to me about what the strategy was after the start of the race. I know you were technically a row back after Palmieri's issues. Was there any chance of you maybe trying to bring the fight to Mikhail, or how quickly did it go to, I'm just going to run my own race here?
I was hoping the game will put me on the left, so taking like second place, but it did not. I was behind, so at that point I know it was really hard to get anything on Mikhail. So we're just keeping him behind, trying to keep as close as possible and hoping for a mistake. I know it was the only thing I could do is try to follow his pace and hoping for a mistake for a pass.
I know we're going to see you for sure at Watkins Glen. Is there any chance we're going to see you next week at Laguna?
Yeah, I'll be there.
Sweet. Awesome. Look forward to it. Great drive there, Michael. Really appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Let's talk to another returning face here, Jacob Palmieri. Jacob, let's start with the start of the race. Walk me through what happened from your end. You're mega quiet, brother. I need you to crank that mic up.
Working now. As loud as it goes. Can you turn me up in Discord?
I can certainly try. All right, hit it. There you go.
There we go. Start of the race, I accidentally saved my setup to be as the default setup, so I opted to start in the pits and change it to something else, and then I ended up running on a setup I hadn't used. So it was a bit annoying. Didn't have what I wanted. Would have liked the race up the front, but
I mean, certainly a silver lining there. I mean, last to fifth, you got to be happy with that, right?
no. I mean,
No?
I didn't get the minus 27 that I should have got. That's a lot of weight. That's a lot of time. I was in the 36s on race fuel and quali, and I think I could have beat Miguel.
Really?
Yeah. Even with this stupid Honda.
Was there a sense of, I know you guys were talking a lot before the race, was there any sense of cooperation, or was it all for sure kind of going against each other?
We were all going against each other.
Each other? Gotcha.
As you know, we're coming back late in the season. We have nothing to fight for. We're just going to race and have some fun.
You got one more shot at it this season. How do you feel about Laguna Seca next week? Are we going to see a Laguna next week?
I will be at Laguna. That's probably one of my strongest tracks, up with Alexis swap rates. I haven't driven it there, but it should be fun.
Look forward to it. Thank you so much, Jacob. That's your pro podium. We'll get the AMs and a couple others briefly. Stay with us. Okay, so I forgot who finished third in AM, but I've got the top two and then some other people who did some really cool stuff. So we'll start with Selena Boonstra in that Comic Racing Porsche. Selena, I mean, very quick return to form this season. Talk to me about your drive.
So this is my first race pretty much in NASRS, but I am no stranger to sim racing because I have been doing that in Sim Racing Alliance, and now I'm here, which is amazingly, by the way, in NASRS. But for the race, it was a really good race, honestly. I had a really good battle with Davin, and I think that was pretty much the highlight of my race because that was pretty much what was basically going on, and then just going at it, duking it out, and then I missed I missed turn 1 because I just didn't pay attention and lost about 3 seconds, but later on in the race there was like a little bit of a incident that happened with 2 other Porsches, which was unfortunate, but it worked out pretty much in the end. And I did take tires, which the rights were absolutely cooked.
I didn't even think about that. I mean, we were talking about it maybe at Snetterton with limited passing opportunities. Why did I not think about that for this like these conditions, Doy? I know you were kind of getting into it there with Palmieri at the back there. You were trying to pounce on an incident. Talk to me about that really quick battle at the end there.
Yes. I know that Jacob is so fast, and I've raced a little bit with him before, and whenever I can, but I was just trying so hard to be consistent as ever, and I noticed he was like making a couple of mistakes. I'm like, okay, this is going pretty well, but still, you never know what's gonna happen because I know he's really fast. But then eventually, like, oh man, I was sweating so hard, but eventually it just came to the point where he stopped making mistakes, going a little bit wide, and I looked at the relative and he was gaining on me, and then eventually he just overtook me, and then he went wide at, I think, sector 2 somewhere, but I just wasn't ahead. I wasn't close enough to make that overtake. But yeah, it was it really got intense because, again, I know he's really fast, so I was just trying everything in my power to keep him behind.
So was Arjun messing with me, or did we just watch you do that on an Xbox controller? Oh my god. In the Porsche, in the wet, absolutely insane. All right, Selena, go celebrate. Are we gonna see you next week at Laguna? Hell yeah. Selena, welcome. It feels weird for me to say that. Welcome to NASR's absolutely amazing drive. We'll see you next week.
Let's go over to Grayson Head. Grayson, up and down race for you today. Talk to me about it from your experience. Right. We mentioned it earlier, but looking at the standings right now, you still have a shot at the AM Championship. Talk to me about your vibes going into the finale at Laguna. Are we going to see you next week at Laguna? Last thing really quickly, because I'm an old fart and don't know how this works. What is Nix OS? Really quickly. Beautiful. Go use Nix OS. Grayson, great drive today. We'll see you next week. Let's go to two guys that had a really good battle outside of that pit stop cycle. Let's start with Eric. Eric, I'm going to start with this because I haven't gotten to talk to you yet. But just off of the form, you're already one of my favorite people. So congrats on this drive. Walk me through your drive from your helmet. Was going to mention that because you've had the McLaren's been your trusty machine for a while. Michael's shown pace in it. Jorge was showing pace in it. Car felt good this weekend or this week. Eric, really, really good drive this week. We'll see you next week at Laguna. Let's talk to your class winner in what I think is the first time, and he can correct me if I'm wrong. Hi, Carter. How we feeling? You just won in class in NASRS. Yeah, yeah.
Honda winning in both the Pro and Am categories, did it feel like the car was really a key to victory today? So come season 23, are we going to see you in something different? Did we find it? Did we find the car, Carter? That's true. That's true. Yeah. I'll tell you what really quickly, because we saw the AM standings again really quickly. Arjun is obviously the one to beat, but he's dropped from this race, so he has nowhere to he's got nowhere to back to go. You obviously didn't have a great Silverstone, but you've been mad consistent ever since. How do we feel about the championship battle going into Laguna Seca? Yeah. Carter, really, really good drive. Congratulations, and we'll see you next week. That is it for us from Valencia. Need to also mention before we go, obviously everything that's happened IRL in Valencia, what's kept individuals from driving here in real life. Formula E had a all-female test that was obviously canceled this week. MotoGP got moved to Barcelona, and it is because of a colossal rainstorm that has taken the lives of over 60 people. Our thoughts and prayers have been with them this entire week, and that's kind of the cool thing about sim racing, that you have this ability to not just continue to do stuff like this, but to pay tribute to it and kind of keep these, not time capsules, but preserve conditions in the way they are and kind of celebrate it. And we're going to keep this party going next week into Laguna Seca for the finale of season 22, random conditions at Monterey. So join us next week, Tuesday night, 5:30, when we go home. I'm Jackson Lambro. Stay fueled by passion. Until next time.